By and large, the officers said no. They were behaving the way they used to behave. But the evidence obviously shows otherwise, because it shows their use of force went down.
There were no overt racially charged situations on campus that I encountered in the 4 years I was here, and only one or two off campus.
Music has the capacity to heal, has the capacity to penetrate into our souls in a way that almost no other art form can.
Hello, I'm Denise White, and welcome to University Beat. Research and innovation, that's become almost a mantra for the University of South Florida, which has become one of the fastest growing research centers in the country. The National Science Foundation says USF now ranks 25th among the nation's public universities in research spending and in the top 50 among all schools. USF is spending nearly $500 million on research every year. More than 40% of that money comes from privately funded or corporate-funded grants and contracts. And much of it is practical research, research that solves problems, research that directly impacts people's lives. One such project involves police body cameras. Confrontations, especially violent confrontations between the police and the public, often become matters of conflicting accounts. Police body cameras are designed to change that by providing visual evidence of any encounter. USF researchers say the cameras are going beyond that by actually changing how officers do their jobs. Hedel Gandhi reports.
Whose glasses are these?
For little girls like Christy, Deputy Sean Sweeney is officer-friendly.
Scooter.
You got a scooter for Christmas?
Even most of the grown-ups in Pasco County
Right here on the corner.
Okay.
like seeing the deputy patrol their community.
I mean, we've got a real problem down the street.
But then there's this. These types of confrontations are now almost always caught on tape.
Rough on me. I'm emotionally handicapped, sir.
Nobody hit him. All we did was struggle him to the ground, kept telling him to quit. Everything.
These types of confrontations are now almost always caught on tape.
Okay, now if you say resistance, I can better understand resistance.
And Deputy Sweeney wouldn't have it any other way.
I didn't realize that a camera would alter people's behaviors that much on both sides. So it's accountability.
But would that translate to less violence between police and citizens? To find out, USF Associate Chair of Criminology Dr. Wesley Jennings studied the use of police body-worn cameras by 50 officers at the Orlando Police Department.
It got quite a deal of national attention because there was, yet to date, no study of its kind at this scale with this kind of research design that was able to isolate the effect, so to speak, for police body-worn cameras.
The results released last October shows there is an impact, a 53% reduction in use of force and a 65% reduction in external citizen-generated complaints.
By and large, the officers said no. They were behaving the way they used to behave. But the evidence obviously shows otherwise, because it shows their use of force went down.
And this latest study by USF will be even more comprehensive. That's because the Pasco County Sheriff's Office has 415 of these police-worn body cameras, meaning a lot of their deputies will be armed with this important tool.
Numerous of them said, we wish we'd have done this sooner.
Pasco County Sheriff Chris Nacco is a big proponent of the cameras.
Put his hands behind his back.
By that camera, you can see why the deputies had to fight.
He says it captures the dangers his deputies face every day and how they risk their lives to protect this community.
Who else is in there? Anybody?
Nobody.
At the same time, I'm not saying we're perfect. We've caught stuff where our own deputies were doing things that they shouldn't have been doing. They were acting improperly, unprofessionally, and they were dealt with very swiftly.
No playing good cop, bad cop, no he said, she said. The truth is in the tape, and deputies like Sean Sweeney say that's crucial in today's policing world.
It's demanding. Everybody expects you to have the answers. Everybody expects you to have the right answers and to act 100% all the time. You're still a human being. You're going to make mistakes.
Still, in a world where so many citizens are keeping a close eye on law enforcement, police are happy to have these eyes watching everything they do.
I want to find out whose vehicle this is.
What's the disadvantage to using those cameras?
I've yet to find one.
Those sentiments are expected to be echoed in USF's latest study, according to Dr. Jennings. A study being watched closely by law enforcement agencies across the country.
We didn't have cameras. It wasn't something that, body-worn cameras, so it really changes law enforcement.
A welcome change for deputies like Sean Sweeney. For University Beat, I'm Hedel Gandhi.
Another fact about USF research, the school is a leader among universities worldwide for receiving patents for its developments, ahead of, among others, Harvard, Penn, and the University of Florida. The person overseeing much of that research enterprise is Dr. Paul Sandberg. He is the Senior Vice President for Research, Innovation, and Economic Development. And he's also president of the USF Research Foundation and is a distinguished professor of medicine, engineering, and business. And we'd like to welcome Dr. Sandberg to University Beat. Welcome.
Thanks, Denise.
Well, you do a lot of things. Your title and all of the work that you are involved in suggests that you bring research, innovation, and economic development all together. How do you explain that approach, and why is it so important?
It's really important because research can't just be in a laboratory in an ivory tower. It needs to have an influence on our culture, on economic development. It needs to really be answering important needs of society. And we see that more and more as we develop these things. And so to me, it's all one thing. And so we're pretty excited about it.
You talk about how important it is to go from, the beaker to the boardroom. Mm-hmm. And so what do you mean by that?
Well, I think what that really means is that, we can discover things in a laboratory, but some of those things we discover could be really useful. And so we need to teach students and to train faculty and others to take that research and move it forward so that eventually it will help in society. And to do that, sometimes you really have to partner with companies in the private sector to really get it out there and to show that it has meaning.
But I guess it all begins with innovation, though, doesn't it? It begins with an idea. And talk about the importance of the innovation part of this.
Well, the innovation part really is, in many ways, twofold. One is you have this inventive spirit, right? You're in a laboratory and you're doing research and you invent something. This could be useful. And so that's innovation. But it's also innovation because you have to take that inventive idea and you have to move it forward. So you have to be innovative in ways to move it forward and do it in such a right way that the society will say, this is really good. And there's a lot of products out there that are probably on the market people don't use. So you'll have to get into that innovative part of making sure that you partner with ones that will see it forward.
The National Research and the National Science Foundation, I should say, has designated USF as an innovation core site. What does that mean for students and for the university?
Well, what we've been able to do at the university is to really do this translational research. We do a lot of basic research, but we do this translational research. And again, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, you have to train and teach and this kind of experience in translating their research out there. And so the NSF, the National Science Foundation, has a program that helps us train students and faculty to see, hey, is this really interesting research? Does it have potential use? And yes or no. At the end of the training, it's a yes or no. And if it's a yes, then let's see if we can make it a company, or license it out, and let's see if we can do something with it. So that's what the National Science Foundation wants, to have innovation cores all over the country. Well, we just happen to be very good at it. In fact, this year we were ranked number 3 in the nation for number of innovation training programs that we had for our faculty and students.
Oh, congratulations. So specifically, what are some of the areas in which USF is a leader in research?
Well, we are a comprehensive university. I have my own likes, of course, in neuroscience and Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, stroke, these areas, because they're personal to me. But we do so much in other areas such as marine science, You know, we were the first ones out in the Gulf for the BP oil spill. We have very strong marine science. We have very strong programs in sustainability and in water. We do a lot of great things in infectious disease. Of course, cancer is very large research. We do amazing things in geology and volcano research. I mean, people just wouldn't understand in many ways, unless they come here, all the different areas that we work in.
And you're so competitive in patents. You've got hundreds of them. In what ways is the university really, I guess, making a name for itself in patents, and why is that so important?
Well, when you look at patents from a university, again, they're related to what the faculty and the students want to do. I mean, we don't try to channel them in ways. So it's their spirit, their innovative spirit that creates it. So a university has patents in all sorts of fields, unlike a company that might be focused. We are amazing in the sense that we changed the culture at this university, and so that they actually say, you know what, this is patentable. And so we have an enormous number of patents in many ways for a university, and we're top 15 in the world for a number of US patents that are given out for all universities. And some of these areas include, again, all the areas I kind of mentioned, as well as what about a dancing wheelchair? You know, all sorts of neat things. So it's really fun to watch this and watch the culture change.
So finally, it looks as if USF is now approaching, I guess, the likes of the University of North Carolina's Research Triangle Institute, you know, those universities that have really made a name for themselves. They have a core in which they're doing this kind of research and innovation. Would you say that USF now is comparable to those universities?
Well, it's a good question. When you look at patent numbers, and you look at the 3 Florida high-tech corridor universities, you know, along Interstate 4, which is we call University of Florida, University of South Florida, University of Central Florida, our patent counts are higher than looking at Duke, North Carolina State, or University of North Carolina, actually, for a number of years. But it's not just the number of patents you have to look at. You have to look at, are these being licensed? Are they being turned into companies? Are we doing something with it? And we're getting started more and more in those areas, okay? Our research park, our business incubators, those are all translatable things that we're doing. Also, you have to look at what the state's willing to give to help fund these things and move these forward, and what the commercial enterprises are. The more people see that how powerful in innovation we are in this area of Florida, I think the better it is for us.
Yeah, not just for the university either, for the larger community as well, don't you think?
Absolutely. I think that innovation is so important to help in the economy, in people's lives, and to get and develop new things, which is what America did for so many years. We were the innovation nation, right? We were the country that really came up with the new ideas and products. And that's what we continue to do. But to do that, we can't just teach STEM education in the sense of science, technology. We have to teach them how to take that and be innovative with it.
Right. Dr. Paul Sandberg, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome, Denise.
50 years ago, USF graduated its first African-American student. Ernest Boger attended on a music scholarship and played with a jazz band. He arrived at the university in 1961, a time when some Southern colleges were experiencing racial unrest. But Boger says the atmosphere at USF was welcoming. Here, in his own words, is what he experienced.
There were no overt racially charged situations on campus that I encountered in the 4 years I was here, and only 1 or 2 off campus. Only 1 or 2 off campuses, so I don't have any dirt. There was a certain amount of tension because this was a time when a lot of things were happening in Alabama and Mississippi and South Carolina and like that, and people were continuing to look at USF to see, well, what's going to happen when that first person goes? What's going to happen the next year, and maybe 10? What's going to happen next year and a few more? And nothing of consequence, nothing at all happened here. I was visited by the FBI, who asked me some questions about my involvement and so on and so forth. I'm sure I was personally watched very carefully by the federal government at that time. And I could talk a bit about some of the situations that were products of the time, such as traveling with the University Concert Band Ensemble and not being able to stay in hotels and having to stay in private black family accommodations. There's some things like that. There were the vestiges of segregation, but again, these were some of the realities of the time and did not tarnish my experience here.
Dr. Boger returned to his alma mater for the commemoration of Black Heritage Month. Our item for this week in USF history is kind of a good news, bad news story. On February 25th, 2011, USF hosted the first game in its new baseball stadium, which was completed during the 2010-2011 off-season. More than 3,100 fans turned out for the game, which set a school attendance record. But the Bulls lost to Elon 4-3 in extra innings. Next fall's schedule for the USF football team has been released. It includes 2 nationally televised games, plus a visit to Tampa by the FSU Seminoles. The Bulls open the 2016 season September 3rd at home against Towson State. The Florida State game is September 24th at Raymond James Stadium. The Bulls will be on ESPN twice in October, on the 21st when they travel to Temple and the 28th when they host Navy. The regular season finale against UCF will be on a Saturday this year, a home game on November 26th. And for those of you who can't wait for the fall, the annual spring football game will be on April 16th at Corbett Stadium on the Tampa campus. Athletics, student government, and fraternities. Well, those are some of the answers we got recently when we asked some USF alumni for their favorite memory of life on campus.
When I look back at my time at USF, my fondest memory would have to be the opportunity to be on the USF baseball team for 4 years and really just the overall experience of being a student athlete.
I was a member of student government for 4 years. I worked with their marketing department to promote a lot of the initiatives that student government has to offer. So I got the opportunity to make a large impact for my 4 years that I was there, but also leave a legacy for other programs in the future.
I think my favorite memories about USF is being involved in student organizations, my fraternity specifically, Sigma Alpha Epsilon, and becoming a leader within that organization and a leader on campus.
We caught up with the alums during a recent day of volunteering at Tampa's Metropolitan Ministries. Just 4 notes, but probably the most recognized 4 notes in music history. It is the open to Beethoven Symphony No. 5. As performed by the Florida Orchestra and led by conductor Michael Francis, who says that the composer wrote the symphony after becoming dissatisfied with his earlier work. At the time, Beethoven was already nearly deaf.
For me, what I find so encouraging is that it's not just about talent, it's about application, about perseverance, and that takes courage. And the courage that he shows to take this astonishing cell, ba-ba-ba-bam, and maximize, to wring out every bit of potential from it, and the way that it permeates through every movement. And at the end of it, it's there at the very end. But here it's optimistic, it's victorious. And even if it doesn't feel fully victorious, he'll beat it into victory. That's a powerful lesson.
The concert was one of several performed on campus last month, aimed at connecting with the Tampa Bay community.
I and all of us at the Florida Orchestra truly believe in the power of music. Music has the capacity to heal, has the capacity to penetrate into our souls in a way that almost no other art form can. There's a universality to it. What I mean by that is that we can have people from many different cultures all in one room, and we could play a piece of music and we could ask them to write down their emotional reaction, and we'd be amazed how similar it would be.
This season is Michael Francis's first as musical director of the Florida Orchestra. Entertainment enterprises like the Florida Orchestra and professional sports teams have a number of things in common. Both compete for the public's disposable income. Both rely on the performances of their star players, and both need a strong behind-the-scenes management team. USF has quickly become one of the nation's top schools in turning out those all-star managers. Mark Schreiner reports.
These days, to have a championship-level sports team, you need to have a first-rate organization behind them. That means number crunchers like Eric Holland, an analytics coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, are in high demand.
So I do a little bit of everything. We kind of tell stories with numbers. I've done a few articles on our players and kind of shown, how they've done good in a given year, how they've done in a historical perspective, and made some cool data visualizations for our website, which is definitely a fun thing to do.
Holland says it's a thrill to be employed by the hometown team he grew up cheering for, but he knows that the job he does could make a difference both on the scoreboard and to the bottom line.
Well, I mean, a lot of people just view it as something for fun, but it's very much a business, and it's treated that way. You have to be able to back up any decision with actual facts and numbers. Having that strength makes you a lot more competitive in the job market.
Holland built that strength in the University of South Florida Muma College of Business Sports and Entertainment Management program. In less than 4 years, the MBA program has excelled, ranking as the 4th best program in the country, according to Sports Business Journal.
We're really vested in student success. And then being in Tampa and having a wide variety of interests and opportunities for the students makes this just an unbelievable situation that we can accommodate almost every student's interest or desire.
Sutton has over 30 years of experience teaching and working in sports marketing, including a stint with the NBA. Students also have the chance to hear from dozens of guest lecturers with similar real-world experience. For example, the program's recent Fox Sports and Tampa Bay Lightning-sponsored lecture series featured a trio of speakers, including Scott O'Neill, CEO of the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Jersey Devils. O'Neill, who received his MBA from Harvard, said that having a business degree is vital to getting a front office job today, simply because of sports' financial strength.
I remember when I came in the league, I think the last franchise was sold for under $100 million. Now you're talking about a franchise in the NBA sold for over $2 billion. So the business is bigger, the risk is much bigger, and we need really sophisticated business people coming into these businesses at every level. And I think that's where USF has quite an advantage.
But the program is about more than students just hearing about the work. It's about them getting those experiences for themselves.
They've used the first year to really figure out what it is they want to do, and then the residency fits that career aspiration spot on. So they leave here with 2 years' experience.
The program has placed students in residencies with more than a dozen sports teams and entertainment groups around Tampa Bay.
It's just been really neat kind of seeing the interactions with big brands like the Disney Live, Disney on Ice, Circus. It's just been a really great experience that I don't think I could have gotten elsewhere or just coming straight out of my undergrad.
And those residencies lead to careers. In the program's 4 years, all 44 graduates have attained jobs in the industry.
I mean, that's the beauty of it. I mean, when you have the foundation, I think smart people, smart students, smart aspiring students from around the country will find it, and it's here.
What I said during my job interview 5 years ago, we're in about the 8th year of my 10-year aspirational plan, but we're only in our 4th year.
And the program's reach should continue to grow. Sutton says that between 5 and 10 applicants for the upcoming year's class are from other countries. For University Beat, I'm Mark Schreiner.
The USF Alumni Association. What's in it for you? Turns out quite a bit. We'll have details next week on University Beat. And don't forget, if there's a story about the University of South Florida you'd like to see us cover, let us know. Our email address is ubeat@wusf.org. Our website is universitybeattv.org. And you can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search University Beat TV. And that's this week's edition of University Beat. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be looking for you again next week. I'm Denise White.